Welcome, everybody. Merry Christmas, the week of Christmas. Yes, we do have a podcast for the Beacon of Light podcast tonight. We are so excited to have with us this evening Missy Worton, and this is really an awesome opportunity for all of you to hear a story that is unlike any other Christmas story you will ever hear, right? It's about so many wonderful things. Well, I don't want to give it away, but where I'm broadcasting from tonight down here in Kyle, Texas. And Missy, where are you broadcasting from this evening?
Well, I am here in Franklin, Tennessee.
Excellent. Welcome. So we've got from Texas to Tennessee. The two T's are covered. And let's invite the whole world to come in with us tonight. Looks like we have some people here popping up live. Please share with us where you're from so we can get you up here on the comments. And through the story, if you have questions, please put them down. Like, comment, share with everyone so that we really can share Missy's incredible message, which is don't mess with this mama. Just going to put that down right there. Yeah, don't mess. Don't mess. Don't mess. So, Missy, share with us a little bit about yourself and let's plunge on into this topic.
Well, I live in Franklin, Tennessee with my husband of almost 30 years now. It'll be 30 years in May. And we have 4 amazing children. They've all hit teenage years and a few of them in their 20s now. But we have 2 children biologically and 2 which were adopted from our heart. So we love them. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a destiny coach. And my desire is to help other people discover exactly what God's called them to do while they're on this earth and to really make great impact with their life because we were all created with such amazing value and just the heart of God. So just helping other people, figure out what was I created to do. And that's really what I'm about and what I love to do and helping them find courage in finding that walk of destiny.
Excellent. Finding the courage to know your purpose is really the plan of our lives. Yeah. And how it appears and shows up, I know, is definitely through different experiences and mostly through trials, through challenges, because that's how we're tested. And as we are tested and as we choose God's plan, those nudges, those promptings, maybe you believe like the universe, karma, those kinds of things, but there's always a higher purpose to something other than yourself. So if you can find that purpose and then fall into it, follow through, how many lives can you bless? So what a Christmas message that is. So thank you, Missy, for that. Excellent. All right, Missy, tell us about this book, Don't Mess with Mama. Is this like how many ways to not make your mama mad? Like, what is all of this about?
No, actually, it's an amazing story. It's a true life story of when my husband and I boarded the last flight out of Dulles Airport before Hurricane Sandy slammed into the East Coast. And we were going to Ethiopia to adopt, and we're our daughter, her name is Favor, and we crossed the storm only to land in our own storm because she had been taken out of her adoption agency and put into a false foster care, which looked more like child enslavement. So it is a story of how we battled and fought the system through the courts, both up in heaven and on earth, and how we fought to bring her home and free her from a situation that most likely was going to enslave her life for life. So that is what the story is. It's a David versus Goliath story. It's we were told many times, just give up, choose another child. And we knew we couldn't. We loved her. Her name already was our name, and we had been with her for a week. We had dreamt about her for a year and a half, and here we were in Ethiopia with her, and we had to do a rescue mission when suddenly everything turned and the people started coming after us, and we had to go into hiding after we went through immigration and were stopped, and her visa and passport were taken from us, and their plan was to keep her there. And we weren't going to have that. So we stayed and we fought fought for her, but we had to hide out because we had some very, to say dangerous, they were probably more dangerous to her, individuals that wanted to do just about anything to keep her there in Ethiopia.
Wow. The power that the story like this can have, where you've felt a calling to go and to have someone become a part of your family. We find peace in that. We're ready to accept. And then the challenges start coming up. And I'm sure ideas and thoughts of these are possibilities, but it looks like everything is set up. Everything looks great. Paperwork is signed. There shouldn't be any problems.
Right.
So what was the first tip off that there was a problem?
Well, I'll tell you this, the way we were led to her literally is for 2 years. And I tell about this in the book. I have been dreaming of this little girl, and I had seen her in a little pink outfit, and her fingers were dancing before her. Her eyes sparkled. And when we got the referral for her, it was a little girl I had dreamt about for 2 years. So that was, for me, that was God's exclamation point saying, this is her. I've been planting her in your heart for 2 years now, so you would recognize her when you saw her. And I needed that. But then on top of it, we battled from the very beginning. They did not want to release her to us because somebody in Ethiopia wanted to have her in their foster care, which we later learned was a very dangerous situation. So once we found that, we were not going to let that go. But just to tell you how God continued to show us to hold on. Later, we went to see a person by the name of Chris Overstreet, and he is a man, he's a preacher who came to Franklin, Tennessee, right where we live. And I was sitting in the audience, and he had been on a documentary called Father of Lights. And so I wanted to see him. He's very powerful. And he pulls me up in the middle of it and gives me this encouraging word. And he says, I just see favor, favor, favor walking before you. And I'm thinking, he doesn't know that the daughter we're getting ready to adopt, we've named her Favor. And the amazing thing that happens is he gave us 2 scriptures he felt that we needed to be encouraged by in the near future. That was Ephesians 3:20 and Philippians 1:6. So I wrote those down, and I remembered whatever God starts, he'll be faithful to complete. More than we could ever hope or imagine is what the Lord will do for us. So when we flew over Hurricane Sandy and we're sitting there in the lobby, all of a sudden I look over, and who steps out of the elevator but this man, Chris Overstreet. And he had been trapped there because Hurricane Sandy, they had to take his plane full of individuals, which was supposed to go to Rome, all of a sudden lands in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And it's amazing because he comes over to me and he says, are you stuck here for the hurricane as well? And I said, no, we just flew in. We're getting ready to do a rescue mission to rescue our daughter from a foster care situation. And he says, well, let's pray. And he begins to pray. And when he did it, he starts praying. And he says, Lord, I pray, and I see that favor is walking before them. He continues to pray and brings the name Favor up. And finally, I start laughing. And I said, did I tell you what her name was? And he said, no. And I said, her name is Favor. And he begins to say, all I kept hearing is, let them know they have favor. Let them know they're going to get favor. So I think it's very important to hold on to the encouragement and in this case, it was a prophecy that we had been given about what the future held for us, that our little girl would be ours. And it gave us strength. We had no idea how much him just stepping off that elevator and speaking to us was going to have, because for the next month, we were in hiding. We were being challenged, even falsely accused that we were doing something wrong, when all we were doing is wanting to give a little girl a home and a family. And they were willing to put us in a third world prison to keep this child in Ethiopia. So we needed to hold on to the promises of God. And that's what we did during this situation. And for anybody listening, if there's a situation you are having trouble in and you need to overcome, hold on to the promises of God on your life. And if you have been given a prophecy, hold on to those words. You know, we fight for those words to come true and come to fruition. So
that's so true. We have a saying that, you know, we're all in this boat and the same thing together, right? And the seas and storms will toss and turn. Don't jump out of the boat.
no.
Stay in that. Hold on, because we can guarantee if you're out in that water, that's going to be, it's going to be really serious. That's going to add to the more of the rescue mission. Stay in the boat. Hold fast. And as God blesses your life, hold and believe. The storm is going to happen. The boat is going to rock and roll. But in the end, He's the King of Peace, and He will calm things. What a beautiful way to start this Christmas week, in knowing that the testimony of the Savior is here for all of us, that through prayer, through promises, through visions, through dreams, through whatever it is that we are connected with, follow that, believe in it. And as we believe, miracles happen.
Yes.
But we have to take that action first of belief. You took the action to know, hey, here's this idea. There's this little girl. She is far, far away from you, but she will be able to be there. Now, I'm not going to show you the story of how it's all going to unfold, but I will give you the strength and I will give you the peace to follow through. That was one part that I was reading just today. This is how far I've gotten, everybody. Amazing. And it was in the chapter prior to immigration. And it's where you go into the bathroom and you say a prayer, because this feeling of uneasiness and fear is taking over, and you're like, okay, wait. Fear, that's not from God. This crazy, that's not from Him. Okay, I'm going to go pray. And so through the prayer moment, you have what I call the transition. That place from where it changes from fear, doubt, all of that, to peace. And what I find interesting, especially as you wrote this, is that you did not ask like all of the hows, but how is this going to, I feel peace right now, but how? You just went with it and accepted it. And I think that is the toughest part. And how many of you parents out there have children that ask tons of questions, and you finally just let them know it's all going to be okay? But how? But why? But how? But why? And so many times we as children of God are the same thing. How? Why? How? Why? And He's like, I got it. It's okay. Do you trust me? I've had that question given back to me several times. Do you trust me? Yes. He's like, that wasn't very confident. Let's try that again. Yes, I trust you. Okay. Then allow me to clear the storm when it's time. We need to have your strength first. So it is really amazing. Darla, thank you so much for popping in here tonight. She says, wow. And I agree. What an amazing part of this story. So can I ask you, how did you feel? You had your other daughter with you at the same trip. Mm-hmm. Did you fear for her safety? Did you feel like together you guys were going to be okay? Share a little bit about that.
Well, there's a quote that I share that I recognized in our story, and that was, I didn't have time to fear when I knew God had given me permission to be brave. So because I had that, I wasn't sure about what kind of danger we were stepping in when we went. And our daughter was with us, and it actually ended up being a good thing, because she brought a place of normalcy to Favor during this whole thing. So Favor knew we were battling for her, but when we were hiding out, and when I tell you we were hiding out in the middle of radical Islam, so we were very aware that we were in an area that we looked very different, and I was nervous for my daughters, for both of them, because that, for one, I remember going to the grocery store, and getting groceries, kind of a grocery store. But all of a sudden we were surrounded by young Ethiopian men, and they were all asking my daughter to marry them. She was age, at the age of 12. That's a good age there. So, I mean, I started getting nervous about taking her out, but she was a blessing because she constantly brought just this area of normalcy and joy to the whole situation. And you'll see in our book, she is that lighthearted one that, although she knew things were going on, she kept this positive, comedic attitude through the whole thing, that she was just going to make sure her sister felt comforted and calm and had joy.
Amazing. What a blessing. What a gift. In that part of the story where you are shopping, not for the groceries, but for gifts prior to what you thought would be your flight out, you say that she has shopped for everything. Her birthday's coming up, and she did not shop for herself. She shopped for everyone else. And you said, she's got it. She understands. Yeah. And what is the it that she understood, Mom?
That it's so much better to give than to receive. There's so much more joy when you give to others rather than just get. It's so empty to constantly get. But when you give, you get it. You get that it's the greater choice.
It is the greater choice. And again, what a Christmas, blessing for all of us to remember that in the giving, that is where we find that joy and that happiness. So wonderful. So how many years has Favor been with you now?
She is, this Thanksgiving, it will be 8 years that she has been our little girl.
Wow, fantastic. So oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
She's taller than me now, so I can't say she's the little girl.
Yes, beautiful. Has she enjoyed her time in America as part of your family? What is something that she just loves now?
She absolutely, she loves everything. She loves to create. She loves to write letters to people. She writes long letters in this beautiful script. She also loves to play soccer. She's an amazing little soccer player. But the thing that I love about Favor is that she now wants to become an attorney or a lawyer to fight for the rights of those who have no voice and to stand up for the orphan that wants to be adopted. So she's concerned because Ethiopia has shut down now and is no longer adopting out of the country. So.
Wow. That is something that goes really deep to save possibly hundreds, maybe even thousands of lives, if she can be a part of that and shine her light outward to really help others. And so when we think about, we kind of pull back right from the forest, from the trees, and we look at the possibilities of life. And of course, we know that God can oversee all, and he knows all from the beginning through the end, through eternity. As we kind of see that moment of, as she now wants to, study and possibly fight for others and who have no voice, that thinking about that dream that you had of this little girl arriving, going through the challenges, fighting for her, getting her here. Now she has a life of freedom that now she can free others. It's just like I've said in so many times, it's these pinpoints. They guide our way just like the stars as the mariners were guided before. It's never completely laid out in front of us, but it allows us to practice our faith, to trust in him, to try ourselves, to make the mistakes, to stand up again. And with those mistakes are great learns. We're like, okay, learned on that. We're going to make sure that this, is the better way. And what love from a Heavenly Father to give us these opportunities. What absolute love. And that's just something so endearing on this Christmas week. I just really, it's fantastic. So Missy, share with us a part of the book or part of your message that you would like to leave with us this evening.
Oh man, there are so many. I think probably there's one section about letting go. And that's not letting go of what God has for you. But that's holding on to that. But letting go of unforgiveness, letting go of where people have wronged you. I know there was a section in the book that the chapter is called Letting Go. And we're taken up the day before we're to face our accuser, and the very person who wanted to keep her in Ethiopia and keep her in a life where she would never have a family, she would never have education. I mean, this was not the life that God had for her. And we went up to the mountain, and as we were coming down, I asked the driver to pull over because I just wanted to look over the city. Because sometimes when you're from a higher place and you're looking at things from above, and I think we can all learn, if we look through the Father's eyes at things versus down here on the earth, or what media is telling us, and we say, wait, what is God saying about this? We get such a better perspective on our life. But when we were there, I turned around and I saw a lady, and she had these 9-foot dry branches that she was carrying down the mountain, and they were bigger than she was. And I thought, wow, that reminds me of Pilgrim's Progress. Pilgrim's Progress. I don't know why I went blank all of a sudden, but where he is carrying the burdens of his life on his back, and where he takes it to the cross and gives it to the Lord. And when she went by, I just heard this little voice say, that's you. You are carrying all this unforgiveness of what they're doing to you, and choices that your husband made. Because when you read the book, you'll realize that my husband made a choice that he felt was right, that ended up keeping us there, and fighting. But, in the end, it turned out better than if we would have gotten out when I wanted to leave. So in that moment, I forgave him. And I also forgave the fact that I couldn't win a battle on my own. And this was my chance to say, Lord, I know you love her more than I could ever love her. And so I am giving you the outcome of this situation. Doesn't mean I'm not going to stop praying that we will bring her home and holding on to the promises that you gave us. I'm holding on to those. But Lord, I just want you to know that she's in your hand now. And I am going to have peace in this situation, no matter what it looks like. And in that forgiveness, not only forgiving my husband, forgiving the people that were doing this, when we did come face to face with that individual, I looked him in the eyes, and all he had for me was this vitriol hate. But all I had for him was this love that came straight from heaven. And all I could pray, I literally was praying for him in that moment, saying, Lord, I just pray that you touch him with the love that I have in my heart right now, from head to toe, that you change his life and that he feels what I feel, your love overflowing him. And it changed my life, because I realized, anytime someone's hurting you or trying to hurt you, or trying to do something to steal, kill, or destroy, it's usually from a person that's hurting very deeply. And so I'm not completely got this down, but when somebody reaches out and hurts me through a comment or whatever it may be, just saying, Lord, I don't know what they're going through right now, but I'm praying for them, that they find peace and that they find healing in this situation, so that they can have joy instead of this ugly hurt that's showing itself.
Yes, the ugly hurt is trying. And when we get to that point, I kind of have a saying that when we start off in life, we are definitely, things happen. And so we are victims of things. And that's kind of the first step. And then we move into a way of surviving. And we take a lot of pride in the surviving that we can possibly do. And I know when I help the women in the situations of domestic violence and trafficking and sexual assault, all of those things, it is a victim place. And then when they start to walk through the healing process, that next step is surviving. And wow, it's like punching gloves. They're loud and proud of their survival. But I don't want to leave them there. I want to bring them through into the thriver position, where then they know to help and bless others with hope and to give back. And then they get that reciprocal understanding. Yeah. But we don't want to leave them there either. We want to move them on to victory. And victory is true forgiveness.
Yes.
true forgiveness of the situation they were born into, the situation that happened during the marriage, the whatever it is. Because through forgiveness, we are really giving it all to him, who's the only one that can truly erase, forgive, fix. But we have to let go of the poison that we're constantly drinking, hoping that it's going to kill the other person, right? Because it never does. And that's what hate does, and it encompasses so much. And when we look back, even in scripture where, the eye for the eye, the tooth for the tooth, but then in the New Testament, when Christ came, he's like, that law has been fulfilled and is done away. Now we're going to love each other as we love ourselves. And I had one person who I was with during an interview said, the challenge that we have today is not that we won't love each other the way we want to love ourselves. We're not loving ourselves or understand how to treat ourselves kindly in order to treat others kindly. And I thought, what a great perspective, in that when we feel such low self-worth and don't know who God is, we don't know that we're children of God. It is so true. We don't know how to treat others the way we want to treat ourselves. And so families out there, parents, communities, it starts with the children, and we have to lay that foundation so that they know their value, they know their worth, so they don't become enslaved, whether it is true in slavery in Ethiopia or anywhere else. We can become enslaved to those doubts, those fears, and that can last and destroy us. But when we forgive, when we release, when we let go, and when we allow the Savior to come in, that's the peace, that's the love, and that is the forgiveness. And we can look at others to think, they're doing their best with what they have. And at that moment, you extend such love versus defense and, situations like that. And there are places and times and moments for justice and for all of that to come about. But ultimately, it's enwrapped with love. Darla says, thank you for your authenticity. And I agree, Missy. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And I saw Lisa, she popped in here. She's like, you are amazing.
She's amazing.
Agree. So, Missy, share with us, maybe during this last part, something that you would wish for all of us to have during this Christmas time, whether it comes from the book, from your messages, anything like that you would like to leave the audience this evening.
Well, I think the thing that everybody should know is just how valuable you are. I mean, you are put on this earth for such a time as this. I mean, God looked and said, I am choosing this time for you to be here. And it doesn't matter how big events you go through, you were meant to be here and you were meant to make a difference. And, I want to challenge you that this Christmas, before you go into the new year, just to ask, Lord, remind me who you created me to be. And when you see that, it's a way to hold on and grab hold of your destiny and just live a life of destiny, live a life on purpose. Be purposeful with how you live your life on a day-to-day, because you were meant to walk out a life of authenticity, of a destiny that nobody else can do. So you are so valuable to this world, and somebody needs what you carry. And when you know who you are, you can walk with this not just authenticity, but authority. You can have authority and that makes such great impact and live this life of true legacy that for years and years and hopefully thousands of years, what you have done to impact one or two or thousands of lives will be seen still on this earth. So live that life you're supposed to live, and take time before the year comes to a close to find out exactly what kind of life do you want to live, what kind of legacy do you want to leave. So you are here for a great reason. So I just want to encourage you of who you are and your value, and you have a purpose to be here on earth right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Missy. You do have that purpose. Go out and find it. There's just a few days left of 2020 and make 2021 a year that is different than this year. Thank you, everybody. It's been a beautiful evening. Go out and get her book, Don't Mess with This Mama, And where can we find you, Missy?
You can either find me, you can find me on Amazon under Missy Maxwell Worton, or on my website, www.missymaxwellworton.com, and everything will be right there.
Excellent. So go out there, support her, grab this book. It is an excellent read. I mean, I'm jumping right into it, and I love the adventure of a true story. And this is that true story filled with, I mean, wow, shock and awe. Shock and awe. Yes, go out there, support her, find these books, find the message, find your purpose. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you.